welcome to the first Founder Institute session for 2024. Happy New Year. I hope everybody is having a fantastic outlook for this new year that we've just started, and it feels like it's already in progress already, even though it's just January. So welcome. I hope that you will have an excellent evening this evening. We have a great presentation for you. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for other persons to join us, and before we introduce the local team here for Founder Institute, just give us an idea in the chat what kind of industries are here tonight. So let us know what industries you're working in or that you're developing, that you're making impacts in. Just drop that in the chat, and Michael, just call them out for me as you see them in the chat coming up, so we can have an idea of the kind of crowd that we have tonight. Okay, so far I'm seeing news media, professional services, great. Cottage industry, organic beauty soap, that sounds fantastic. Construction services, okay. Healthcare and wellness, that's a good one. Any more industries? Data science, okay. Cosmetics, all right. Courier services, educational services, fantastic. Okay, that sounds really great. So we have a mix of people tonight, and I'm assuming that you are small business owners looking to see how you can build your business into something that would sustain and grow, right? That's why we're here tonight. Exactly. I see Tasha saying exactly to us. Fantastic. So we're on the same page. So without further ado, I think we have enough persons where we can start this evening. So I'm just going to go ahead and start introducing the team. So we, the Jamaica team, are located in Kingston for the Founder Institute. We have chapters all over the world. So for Jamaica, we're the only chapter in the Caribbean. And the local team, we have 4 leaders here tonight. I am Tanelia Fidis. I do mostly marketing and operations here at Founder Institute, Jamaica. And we have Michael, which is always going to be on the background. You're not going to see him most of the time, but he's the person that's on the webinar that will be looking at your questions and doing the background work on all the webinars that we have. And we have Tennille Howell-Hussey, who is also a local leader, so she can just wave. She's the other lady on the team. And we have Wayne Beecher, our entrepreneur in residence, who's also with us and is one of our presenters. So tonight's presenters are Tennille Howell-Hussey, who will be speaking to you about failure, because in entrepreneurship, failure is a common thing, and why we should not be afraid of it, and how we can use failure to learn and grow a business. Also, Wayne Beecher, he is going to tell us about how to create wealth with the resources that you have and understanding money, essentially. So tonight, it's going to be very informative. Take notes, turn off your distractions, and this is also going to be recorded as well, so that later on I will post it on YouTube. So we'll be sending the link to you in the chat, the channel that you'll be going to, so you can find it later on. You'll also get a copy of the video in your email because you signed up for this webinar. So for any reason that you weren't able to make it, or you had missed something, you can always rewatch the video. And also, we'll tell you more about what Founder Institute does and how you can actually benefit from our program that we have here in Jamaica. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Tennille Howell-Hussey to start off this evening with a brief presentation. We're going to have the presenters present first, and then we're going to have a question and answer after. So stay to the end, and then we'll have answers to your questions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over Mrs. Howell-Hussey.
All right, so hi, good night, everyone. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see? You can't? Oh, okay. All right, great. All right, so we're looking at the fear of failure tonight. And funny enough, when, well, first of all, let me introduce myself properly. So my name is Tenio Hawahazi. I manage the Business Development and Consulting Institute at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. I'm also one of the Founders Institute Jamaica directors. I'm also a director of the SBDC, which is part of the JBDC network for entrepreneurs. And when I am not busy doing all of that, I also do my own little thing, which is Janji, decor, and events, right? So I do all kinds of different things just to keep myself employed. So, what is entrepreneurship? So, we work with lots of different entrepreneurs, and what I have found is that entrepreneurship is the process of finding a gap in the market, creating an innovative product or solution to fill that gap, and marketing it with the hope of creating a successful business. Right? So that's the definition of entrepreneurship by Women's Business Daily. But what I've found when I'm working with entrepreneurs is that even though they want to be an entrepreneur, they have this fear of starting, especially the ones that are now starting out, the ones that are doing a bit of something, but they still have that fear, right? And so the real question is, what are you hoping to achieve as an entrepreneur? And that is, you go there, you see some form of, I don't know, maybe you see that there are persons that is finding very difficult, finding difficulty finding clothes, for example, to fit your size. So you decide, all right, I'm going to start bringing in clothes because the clothes that I see out here are not good enough and I have better taste in clothes, so I'm going to create my own clothing store, right? Or it could be that you don't want to work for anyone, so you decide, I'm going to start selling clothes because I see that there's an opportunity where persons are really interested in what I wear and I can possibly sell that, right? So it doesn't have to be this big innovative product, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Because all the time people make it seem like entrepreneurship has to be so innovative. It doesn't have to be. It just means that you see a gap and you are filling that gap. Okay? So I'm sure that you've all heard that startups fail within the first 3 years of business. So, and you'll probably ask yourself, why did they fail? So here are the top 20 reasons startup fails based on an analysis of 101 startup postmortems. And this was done by CB Insights. It was done in 2021 and it is still being quoted up to now in 2023, right? So I said CB Insights, but then it's also BC Insights as well, right? They did an analysis and we're starting from the bottom. The 20th one is failure to pivot. So when you hear pivot, I'm sure that everyone heard pivot over and over during COVID. Everyone is always hearing pivot this, pivot that, you know what I mean? So pivoting, failing to pivot. But when I looked at this, what I found was so funny was the whole fact that when people think of pivot, they think, oh, a big change. But in this case, what they said was the failure to pivot was because the persons had failed to pivot from a bad product or a bad hire or a bad decision. And all the time, we always think pivot from the product. But in this case, it's also making a bad hire and also making a bad decision. And I know that entrepreneurs are usually some persons that are real goal-getters. So one of the reasons why they end up failing is because they wallow in that whole, oh, you know, I made this mistake, and because I made this mistake, I can't move on, right? So that ended up being one of the reasons, or the 20th reason why they would fail, because they can't get past that bad decision, right? Burnout, that is quite obvious. You take on this responsibility, the volume of the work, and then you can't handle it. So it's too much of a burden. And so that's why these founders finally decided, I can't take it anymore, and gave up the business. The next one, 18th. You do not use your network or your advisors. And that is very important because, as you know, you have your network, you have your advisors, and if you don't look at the persons around you, your personal and your professional connections, then how are you going to achieve what you want? So you can't, no man is an island, and people always say that, no man is an island. So you cannot expect that. For example, say, you know, this person works in this industry, they're an accountant. You're not that good at accounts. Why are you not seeking out help from your friend that studied accounts with you at university, right? And they have such a nice job and they're doing well. Why can't you not bring them in to work with you or get some advice from them, right? So lean on their professional connections, lean on your personal connections. And so that is something that people forget to do. Legal challenges. Sometimes a startup can evolve from a simple idea to a world of legal complexities that can prove to be a core cause of shutting down. Simply said, from the time you start and you realize that there's so many different legal fees that you cannot handle or legal challenges, you've decided, okay, I give up. One of the biggest reasons why one of the reasons that everyone always quotes is no financing or investor interest. So you go there and no one is interested in investing in your product. You can't find any funding. So it's just an idea. You don't have the money. You weren't able to put up the money in order to get the idea off the ground. Bad location. So you're probably thinking bad location as in you didn't find a nice area inside of a mall, but that's not the way how they're looking at it. Bad location is that they're thinking, say for instance, you seen something working in the US and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this product is going to work well in Jamaica. But then when you bring it to Jamaica, the culture may not be up at that level where they accept it or understand it or even want to try it. Or say, for instance, I can't even think of something right now, but say, no, I can't think of anything. But say there's a product that you've seen working in the US, or you've seen it working in India, or you've seen it working in another Caribbean island, but it's working in that island or those other countries because of their culture, because of their technology. But then when you bring it to Jamaica, it does not work, right? That is the best way that I can explain it to you. Another reason is if all these companies working remotely, you decide, all right, I'm going to have a remote business as well. and there's lack of communication, there is lack of interest, and therefore the communication breaks down and your staff are not working with you. So you may have to have a business that is persons actually coming in and working, because even though you may be thinking everyone is working remotely, it still may not work out, right? Next, lack of passion. So, I mean, that's simple. You start off the business and you have the product, you have the service, and no matter how good the idea is, there's no real interest in your product. So you're forced to shut down, right? Pivot gone bad. So you've decided to pivot, but then after you've pivoted, you've made some calculated error, or your business model needs changing, and you think, okay, this is going to definitely work, but it doesn't work out because you didn't do the actual market testing, the market validation, the customer validation, in order to find out that this would be a great product for you to have. When all you could have done is just tweak something that you had and made it different rather than a complete pivot. And so that may lead to you having to shut down your business. Disharmony on teams, as well as disharmony with your investors. Simply put, you and your teammates don't get along, or your other teammates don't get along with each other, and it ends up with your business losing its force, its energy, its passion, and everyone decides to drop off. And then because of that, you decide you're going to drop off too, because those persons may have some really valid interest in that business, and it wasn't your interest, your business alone, so you have to drop it. Or the investor can't get along with you and pulls his money. Simple. Losing focus. This has happened a lot, and losing focus could be that you gained a new job, and so you don't have enough time to put into your business. It could be that you lost a family member, and so through the grief, you decide, I don't have enough time to focus on my business right now. It could be that your family just saying, I need you more. I need you to focus more on us and not your business. And so you decide to focus more on your business, and you lose focus. You lose focus in your business because you're focusing more on your family, right? So then there's also product mistimed. Mistimed could be, say for instance, selling as simple as it could be, selling a diary in the middle of the year rather than at the beginning of the year, right? But it's not as simple as that. What it really is that when you started to bring out the product into the market, you may have not tested it correctly. Then when you let it go into the market, there's so many errors, there's so many bugs. It doesn't have everything that you thought it would have needed. The customers are looking at it as, is this person ain't ready yet? And they've decided, no, I'm not going to go back with this company because the first thing that they sent out was not good enough. So you lose your interest with your customers, you lose their trust. And then when you try to put it out again, no one takes it on. Or it could be that you have waited too long. You're out there, you're letting persons know I'm about to drop this product, I'm about to drop this product. Then someone catches wind of what you're doing, does the same thing, and beats you to it. So now the market is saturated with products that you have already been working on. When you put it out there, you're putting it out there at the wrong price because the competitor has taken you over, right? Ignoring customers. Ignoring customers is as simple as you need to take feedback from your customers. If you don't get feedback from your customers and put that into your product, then the customers are going to feel shunned and they're not going to buy from you. Poor marketing. With poor marketing now, you have to know your target. You have to know how to convert them into paying customers. And if you don't do that, then, you lose, right? So that's the most important thing. Marketing is very important. People don't even realize how important marketing is, but it is extremely important. How will people buy your product if they don't know about it, right? Then there is need or lack for a business model. Everyone always has this massive, great idea and they think, yeah, why wouldn't they not buy it? But you don't have a business model. So having a good business model is important to ensure the success of a startup. The idea or the product is not enough. You have to calculate anything in detail to be sure of a great result. It's as simple as that. You have to have some idea of what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be selling, how you're going to sell it. Having a 5-year plan of what you're going to do helps to just set you ready for what is the next steps. If you don't have the next steps, you won't be able to move forward. Poor product. You have a poor product, simple. Meaning the product could be not user-friendly, right? Persons go on your website and don't know how to use it. Something, for example, like UCC, we know that UCC is a university and we are selling courses. But in order for you to buy these courses, you have to go on our website. Now, if our website is not working properly, if you can't find even the course that you want to sign up for, how do you expect persons to even sign up? Because in the ending, they're going to be like, well, I can't find it. But if I go on the competitor's website, all I have to do is just type this, that, third, and I already find it. And I already know, just click this, click that, and I'm done. I really wanted to go to UCC, but you know what? This person made it so much easier. I'll just go with them, right? So that's just an example. Pricing or cost issues. You price it too high, you price it too low. All these things are important. And when I say pricing too high and pricing too low, I mean in terms of the cost of making the product. You may price it to the point where you are putting yourself out of business because you didn't take into account all of the different costs that would be involved in making the product, or the costs with bringing in the product and making some form of profit, right? You've been out-competed. Simple. Your competitors find a way to look at what you have and make it better. Are they just ahead of you in terms of getting better feedback, or they're doing their analysis, so they know what they need to do to make it better. So you've been out-competed. Not having the right team. Your team is your backbone, your backbone. And when you don't have the right team, like earlier, which was the failure to pivot, you make a bad hire, and that person may end up ruining your reputation. They may end up selling something at the wrong cost, just stirring up problems for you. And that can be one of the examples. Another example may be that you think that this person is such a excellent worker because they should have the experience. But then when you start to talk to them, you realize they don't have the experience that you need, right? So now you have to go and hire another person. So you're which leads to you running out of cash. You run out of cash because I don't know, you use it too much, right? Or you run out of cash because money, time, resources, you'd have allocated them the right way. And so that leads to you using the money wrong. And most of all, 42%, number one, no market need. You think that the business idea is needed, but there's no need for it. And then I'm not saying that this could be, as the guys like to talk about, the bloody waters. No, we're talking about there's no market need, as in the persons don't want this product. They don't think that this is the product that they need, right? It has to solve a problem. If it's not solving a problem, then they're not going to want it. For example, I think what most people think of when they think of that, or what I would think of, is the mop that spins around. The guy that used to be at the corner in Half Victory spinning around a mop, trying to convince people that they need this mop just because it could spin. I don't know. But that is an example of, because everyone up here, they have the typical mop that they use. So why are they going to get this fancy mop? So it's very difficult to sell it because there's no real need for it. So what is the entrepreneur's main fear? After hearing all of this, your main fear is going to be the fear of failure, right? Because you keep hearing persons say, I tried and I failed. And you keep hearing about these really great ideas and persons are failing. You have your friend, they come and tell you, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And yet you don't see them making any money. And quick, so they're back inside of a BPO working, right? So atichiphobia is the fear of failure, is the fear of not being good enough. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have this fear. And so here's this word cloud that shows you all of the things that are associated with that. When persons think of atichiphobia, which is the fear of not being good enough, they're scared. They have the neurosis, they have attacks, and they feel anxious. So they have their breakdowns, they start to cry. And this is what is a typical Sunday for most entrepreneurs. They just have, especially when they're starting out, they just say, I can't do this, I can't do this alone. They start to freak out, right? So atichiphobia can also cause panic attacks, which may lead to chills, dizziness, lightheadedness, excessive sweating, heart palpitations, nausea, shortness of breath, trembling or shaking. And there are persons that from the time they have to think, I'm going to start my business. So that means that I'm not going to be able to work. So maybe I need to give up my job because this business is going to take too much out of me. So let me just focus on the business alone. From the time they have to think about losing their seed money, they go crazy. They start to have panic attacks. What am I going to do when the business is not setting up? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And this is what happens. Nothing gets done. So to face your fear as a startup, what you have to do is just take action. Entrepreneurs need to focus on what they can control and take risks where necessary. We should also embrace failure what I've found is that the persons that do the best as entrepreneurs are the serial entrepreneurs. They've started out, they failed, they learn from their failure and see it as an opportunity for learning and growth and move on. So you can do what scares you until it doesn't. So Robert Collier said, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. And I could also suggest to you now at the beginning of the year, when you say that you want to start your business, you should do one thing every day that scares you so that when you get past that whole fear of doing anything and the fear of starting your business. So thanks for watching, everyone. And if you ever need me, I am usually here at UCC BDCI, and this is our information here.
Thank you very much, Tennille. That was a great presentation, right, guys? I hope we took notes. The fear of failure is something that we all face as entrepreneurs. All of us here on a team are entrepreneurs. We all have our businesses, and we all had to take this leap of faith, and we all felt the same thing. So it's not something that goes away with every new venture, but we certainly learn how to manage it, right? And FI, it has a system that helps us to manage that, because the best way to manage our fear is action. So just think about it when you're jumping in a swimming pool, right? Your fear of jumping in the swimming pool because you think something bad is going to happen. The way to overcome that is by what? Just jumping. After you've jumped, there's no more fear. Like, it's disappears completely. The same with entrepreneurship. So just go right in. And that's what we do here at Founder Institute. We help you to overcome that fear and help you to drive using action-oriented goals, objectives, sprints to help you to overcome that fear so you can drive that energy into your business. So well done, Tennille. If you I'm not seeing any questions so far in the chat, but if you do, anything comes up later on, you can always put it in the chat, and then one of our panelists will answer you over the camera or in the chat if there are too many questions coming in. Okay, so now without further ado, I'm going to introduce you now to our serial entrepreneur, Wayne Beecher. He's our entrepreneur in residence. So he will be, if you're joining the program and if you're a part of the program, you will be talking to him quite a bit, and he's going to help you with tips and strategies that he has used to build businesses and what he has seen, how tips and that other entrepreneurs use too to build a business. So he's a very valued member of our team, and tonight he's going to discuss with you, although we're all business people and we're all earning money, there are strategies to wealth, and he's an expert in wealth, and so he's going to talk to you tonight about wealth and how to use it and how to grow it.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to do, I know you're scared now by what Tennille said, right? About how to fail and the reasons of failure. So, what I'm going to offer is a framework that can put in the 1% of those persons who succeed after 5 years of being in business. But I'm gonna coach this conversation around our local context and the need for development. So what I'm proposing is that your path to wealth and for personal growth and economic empowerment can be achieved through entrepreneurship. So it's our mission to democratize economic empowerment through entrepreneurship, and we're going to explore a framework where we combine both market creating innovation and a cultural paradigm shift towards innovation, deep innovation, and entrepreneurship and leadership that you can actually use to generate wealth in a meaningful way. And for that, I've created this formula for economic empowerment. Basically, what it says is that economic empowerment through entrepreneurship is equal to innovation, but a different kind of innovation that matters, times three C's. One is the cognitive catalyst that gives you confidence in your ability to do, be, and create anything, anytime, anywhere. A, a sense of innovation and an adventure on creating an innovation culture that will allow you to look at the failures that you itemized a while ago and still move forward with the confidence that you can find a way or a path to success. And while doing that, you're doing that by maintaining a strong code of conduct. So this is a framework we're going to discuss briefly. I want you to stop and interject and let's have a discussion around this framework, which is brand new, by the way. So I want us to discuss and elaborate it if required. So let me just break out the framework a little bit more before I dig deeper into each element of it. The theory of change says that economic empowerment that we're speaking to really refers to the financial freedom and your own personal development as an individual, financial independence, and the ability to achieve social inclusion and access. A lot of the time, economic empowerment is seen as just a part to get some money or just having financial resources available to you. But I'm proposing that it's much more than that because money is a currency and a currency refers to energy and energy flow from a personal place that is beyond just the dollar value of what you're trying to offer. As a matter of fact, it's the ability to marshal the energies in such a way that creates value and ends the flow of currency. Then we're going to propose that you don't just look at any kind of innovation. That if you're going to take on this 99% path to failure, you do it with a strong sense of purpose. And then you're going to create innovation that matter. And the kind of innovation we're going to introduce it tonight is a concept called market creating innovation. And on the line of innovation is the use of technology because technology gives you the capacity to scale. And scale is what creates a path to wealth, real wealth, if that's your mission. And because we're operating in a post-colonial, post-slavery kind of PSD kind of environment, I think particularly for us in the Caribbean, and if you're Afro-Caribbean of Afro-Caribbean descent, I think there's a mentorship that's required to really give us the tools to reprogram our consciousness and our subconsciousness around being able to take on failure as a part to growth, to personal growth. It is not something that is ingrained in our DNA and in our social consciousness because all our institution kind of say that we should fear failure and that failure is a bad thing. Where all the other markets and villages and tribes that succeed kind of embrace failure. And we can elaborate on some of them. So let's now look at some of the innovations that we want to talk about. And we're going to introduce some concepts of innovation and then zero in on what we'll call market creating innovation now. One type of innovation is called sustaining innovation. It's kind of innovation that try to offer some sort of marginal improvement on an existing product. Like you have the iPhone 5, iPhone 6, you have the Samsung Galaxy Note or Ultra Note 22, 23, 24. Those are incremental innovation that target the existing customers and try to upsell. While that is good because it expands existing wealth within a network, it creates few jobs and have limited economic impact or development impact because it doesn't create new markets, new demand, and create new wealth. The incumbent are the existing company like a Grace or a NCB, a big company that's operating in the sector will benefit from sustaining innovation. A startup enterprise trying to enter that space will find it difficult to get the capital and the resources required to be very competitive in that industry if they compete of the same factors that the incumbent have mastered. Another type of innovation is called efficiency innovation, which is traditionally the kind of innovation you find coming out of the manufacturing sector, where they try to do more with less And when they realize that um, they have more overheads than necessary, they kind of eliminate jobs to try and find efficiency in processes. And a lot of the automation coming up now, and the fear around automation, especially that driven by artificial intelligence, is driven by this notion of efficiency innovation. What efficiency innovation does is look for existing customer and try to serve them with the same product or service in a cheaper way. And so that really doesn't really create new wealth. As a matter of fact, it only serves the incumbent companies that are well entrenched in the area and have what they call as economics of scale. So that's just a new way of doing um, something that already exists. Type of innovation that you should be considering if you're entering this as part of entrepreneurship is what we're as market creating innovation. And this is wrapped around the blue ocean concept, if you're familiar with that. So market creating innovation is a terminology coined by a Harvard professor called Kay Christensen and one of his students from Nigeria that tried to posit that the innovation that you look at should try and have a deliberate development impact in the market that you're operating in. And since Jamaica is in fact a developing market, what bigger cause could you try to pursue? So market creating innovation can be simple and affordable because it targets a segment of the market that is not consuming an existing product because they can't afford to or it's unattainable to them. So an example of this would be the telecommunication industry in the mobile phone sector. If some of you are old enough to remember when digital come in play, what they were disrupting was an existing monopoly, whereby you had to have a friend there to get a landline at your home, and you had to have deep contacts to afford a very expensive mobile phone. And Digicel came in with cheaper handset and it came up with prepaid calling plan. That was a market creating innovation because it created new jobs, it created a new product, and it allowed the mass population to consume a service that they could not otherwise would have afforded. And so what it basically did is create new customers. Um, and I remember when it just came in, they created a value chain, right, that was built around the agents. So a lot of persons went into business to sell digital products and prepaid card. So that created new wealth for new peoples and new job right across the country. So that is an example of a market creating innovation. And I dare say that is what you should be pursuing. So if you're pursuing market creating innovation, then what is it that you need to do? So I'm just we're gonna cover this throughout. If you join us on the program, we're gonna cover some of these market creating innovation, tell you how to find them using the blue ocean strategic approach and your environmental scan. But the characteristics of the market creating innovation centers around these six principles. The first is that you must target non-consumption. So non-consumption means an area that persons cannot afford to acquire the product, or it's unattainable to them because of some sort of constraint and through the channels of distribution, or they were just ignored by the incumbent. So we spoke about digital as one example of targeting non-consumption in the mobile post-paid era. Another example of this could be Lasco when it came into the market because they saw that the market was dominated by Nestle and Grace, who sold a mid-price, a premium product in a fast-moving consumer good. So they made a deliberate attempt to serve quality that we determined at that time, quality, fast-moving consumer goods to the low end of the population by offering it at a lower price. So they came in and disrupt the market. And I dare say they probably helped to hold down the price of some of the commodity products that were needed as staple by the majority of persons who were not consuming. Affordable housing. So if you're looking for some new sectors now to where there's a lot of non-consumption, broadband telecommunication is still, unattainable by about 37% of the population. about another 60% of the population is excluded, is financially excluded from the current product and service offering by the banks and other financial institution. Um, there are opportunities in the housing sector, in the tourism sector, in the agro-processing sector. So what you need to do in those in those sectors is identify a portion of those those sectors that have a high level of non-consumption. And that's where you should focus your innovation around. I'm going to teach you how to do that. When identify that they are non-consumption, then you need to find a way to serve the customers so it appeal to their high order needs, their social and cognitive needs. A lot of people talking about social media now, but high order needs are needs that you know builds from the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So at the basic level, you need food, shelter, clothing, and stuff like that. But above that, you need social connectivity, you need personal growth, you need self actualization, and so on and so forth. So when you're building your value proposition, and your value proposition is the solution set that you create to solve the problem why there's non-competition. So for example, when Digicel when Digicel created the prepaid plan, it created a kind of social inclusion because persons now could afford to operate in a space and they couldn't operate in before because they only saw rich people with mobile phone at the time. Some people end up buying two mobile phones just to show that they're now operating at a different lifestyle. They were selling the credits, but what they were selling was a social inclusion strategy to make them more included. The other factor here is that you should think local, but operate with a global mindset. Why is that? Jamaica is a small open economy with only a limited population. If you're going to create $1 billion company, you can't do it serving only persons in this domicile. You really have to be positioning yourself to operate outside of our borders. And one way to do that is to make sure you're operating a digital business, a business that is digitized. So no matter if you're selling crayons, you have to digitize a business model in a way acquire the customers, serve the customers, and so on. Which moves into the next point about leveraging technology. If you're creating a business now in the 21st century, right, you really should be creating a business that is relevant in the digital economy. Because what that does for you is to remove borders. You no longer need to think about, um, you know, serving only Jamaicans living in Jamaica alone. By being a part of the digital economy, it opens you up to 8 billion. Well, there's only 6 billion that's actively consuming the internet, but that's a huge market compared to the 3 million that's here. And perhaps the 1.5 is actually consuming internet in such a way that they have the required digital intelligence to consume your products. So everything needs to be digitized because it makes the business more efficient. And then also you need to have a culture of innovation. So within your organization and within your network, you need to be pushing innovation as a cultural tool because it gives you the capacity to recognize the value of failure. And Tini said a lot about that, so I won't go over that. The sixth point is about ecosystem orchestration. So if you're creating a new model of business that requires for you to access non-consumption, it means that you have to create distribution channels or channels of communication to reach to those customers and acquire them in a very efficient way. To build out that kind of brick and mortar distribution channel can be expensive. And to build an operating framework for that can also be expensive. So what you need to be looking at is how to create partnership or to what we call activate and orchestrate the ecosystem to support your value proposition or value innovation. I will elaborate more on that as we take it through the course, should you decide to register with us. So if market creating innovation is so good, why don't most companies pursue it? Because it comes at a higher cost, of course. And so this is where you have to make a decision as to what kind of model you'll pursue because it has a cost. Sustaining innovation and efficiency innovation you can create good businesses in those space. What you call lifestyle businesses. So if you enter in those space now and there's strong competition in those areas and you want to create an efficiency or sustain innovation, you might be able to pursue that. I might be able to resell product from the incumbent that is strong in that industry. But if you're going to decide to take on a market innovation, you have to invest a lot in the technology platform, in the product development, in the marketing and communication strategy. And it requires a larger capital outlay upfront. So it takes it to a point now where you need patient capital. And in our context, patient capital comes from equity investment. And to access equity investment means you need to give up some of your company. So, and inviting investors. I know Tania says I know 9% of them fail because of the interaction between investors and entrepreneurs. It's only 9%, 42% fail because they didn't have a market creating innovation that, that address a significant problem. So this requires a different mindset because what you're going to do, you're going to have to endure a period of failure. And if you're familiar with the cash flow cycle of a typical high growth company, it goes like this, the J curve. It goes down, take you through the valley of the shadow of death, that you feel as if you're going to fail and you must persevere. And if you have enough capital, if you're offering a product that's relevant and you adjust the business model consistently to attend to the customer needs continuously and evolve your business model and evolve your product offering, you will come out on the other side, you become cash flow positive, and then you experience what is called exponential growth. You're growing faster than you see, have a different kind of stress now. One stress you're burning through cash, the next stress, you're making more cash than you can actually account for with credibility because it's just coming in too much. But that is way of life. That's a universal principle of duality and polarity, that everything moves, changes states and operates in a rhythm. And it requires for you to understand that principle and have a certain mindset to make that happen. Because what you're doing, you're creating a market that doesn't exist. It's very difficult. You're taking a lot of risk. And so you really need to invest a lot of money upfront to create that side of the innovation. And you won't be able to do it alone. You have to attract a team and you have to attract investors. So I'm going to take it around to the last part of the equation, which speaks about the three C's, the cognitive confidence, culture of innovation, and the code of ethics. So I'm going to summarize it like this when I talk about cognitive catalysts. I'm really talking, and my company is called All Catalysts, by the way, and I will tell you what that means later. But the cognitive catalyst is really creating a mental awakening because everything that is being done in this entrepreneurial space is actually for you to be successful. They're all embedded in spiritual law. And the first spiritual law says it's mental. All is mental. And so you have to understand the mindset required for you to create something in a world that didn't know that they have a problem, and you're now giving them awareness of that problem and creating something from nothing, just purely from your thoughts, an idea that was blessed to you by the divine. So this requires for you now to unlock yourself from a lot of the social construct, your educational construct that say you have to be right. Entrepreneurship is about being wrong 90% of the time, but having the willingness to test and adjust, right? And because you're constantly testing, iterating, and improving, you will find the path to success because it's embedded in spiritual law, right? That you vibrate at a certain level, it will bring to you that which is required to make manifest what you have in your mind. So this is a sort of intellectual and cognitive awakening that you need to go through on a personal level. Which brings me to the next point of leadership, right? You need to go through a leadership evolution because everything is about leadership. Entrepreneurship could be considered leadership by definition, right? So Start with the leadership of self. So you leadership of, and I went through this experience actually, because I started my career in the military and I thought I was a leader. When I left the army, um, I was managing a company of over 500 soldiers. And I went to work for a private enterprise. And their concept of management was embodied around coaching and leadership. And so when they did my assessment and onboarding, I didn't realize that at the time, but I realized it later on, having spoken to the HR people. They put me in a position which is leadership of self. They did double my salary to make me go through that experiment, but it was a leadership of self. And I learned a lot of the distinctions that I'm sharing it, from that experience. But you have to know who you are as an individual and then identify your core purpose as to what you were brought forward in this world to pursue as your life mission. And once you identify that, then you have to pursue it with a passion that ignores the possibility of failure. Even though it is ever present, you ignore it because you decide, because you're fully awake as a conscious individual and as an extension of the divine, you recognize that you have the capacity to choose or you respond to life stimulus. And until you understand that and you can say, I'm responding only to purpose and that nothing else will affect me, you won't be able to say, I'm going to narrow and focus on this mission for my life because I think that is what I was designed and gifted this life experience to execute. And so once you land on that, then you say, okay, this is what I'm gonna pursue with a passion and a blind focus. But you know what happens once you determine that in your mind? It triggers a kind of vibratory experience that pull others to that cause. So what you have created by identifying your purpose and say you're going to pursue it is a cause. And what happens is that God orchestrates it in such a way that you find the persons, the resources, and the circumstances that will help you to pursue that cause. So this is where now when persons come to you to help you to support the cause, and in that purpose find their own cause, you now have to find a way to lead them. Yeah. So you have to be very cognitive as to what are the leadership tenets that you need to adopt in order to guide those persons joining your mission in a powerful way. And once you do that now, because you're pursuing your cause and you're attracting other persons who are pursuing their cause and finding their cause through your mission, you now become the leader of leaders because their mission become amplified and they now have to find persons to join their cause. So you become a leader of leader and a multiplying effect is triggered. In that context, in that kind of leadership framework, a leader doesn't create growth. He creates an environment and a condition that growth occurs naturally. Right? That's when you're really at a level of spiritual enlightenment that is beyond the construct of the systems that we have now in place. And you recognize that everything is operating as it ought to, whether good or bad, whether up or down. And so you're just thinking about your growth experience to continue to evolve beyond where you are now. And so this is the construct. I think if you have this mental capacity, if you have the leadership capacity, and you're willing to innovate continuously, you can find a path to entrepreneurship. And all the techniques, the methodologies, and the systems that we share becomes almost redundant because you'll be able to create them for yourself if you want. But it has to start with this mental shift. So that's a principle that I shared it. That's a formula for economic empowerment through entrepreneurship, where you identify innovations that matter, and then you develop the confidence, the culture, and the code of ethics that will allow you to pursue it with a passion. So thank you. I'll open the floor for questions at this stage. Over a quiet crowd tonight.
There's a question in the chat.
Not a question, but more a comment.
Sure. I can't see it. Where I need to bring it up. Oh.
I think we're seeing the comment from Nakash. He was saying that
I learned to open the mic and speak. Now I can't find most of it. I can't read most of it. I just brought it up here. Nakash,
one sec.
can you open this mic?
Yeah. Or Michael, can you find him?
One moment. You can speak now. Mr. Hall?
Yeah. I don't know if he wants to speak or he's
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Wayne. Hi everyone. I hope what I wrote wasn't too long, but just to add a few pointers to your comment, which was centered around failure, and I do assume that that is meant to really get person's mind in a place wherein it is possible, it may happen, and we need to be aware of it. I assume that's the direction that you're coming from. And it was indeed centered around entrepreneurs and in essence the business. And basically what I'm saying is that outside of the fundamentals of business, which is the marketing, HR operations, and the business model and your niche market, one can still fail. And you will feel if it's it that you don't understand the how your business can scale and in which direction your business should scale, which in essence means the scalability of your product or service, right? And once you understand that, then you'll be able to craft a strategy, whether it be blue ocean. Well, you are focusing on blue ocean. It can also be red ocean if it's it that the product is already in the market and you need to come up with a new niche in order to grow your particular business. So that is the addition that I was making to what you were saying, Wayne.
Yeah, man. Welcome comment. I agree with you. I mean, you can succeed in red oceans, you know. The level of success will be determined by your ability to find some inefficiency in the space that you can exploit. And indeed, all blue oceans become red oceans eventually because once you identify that niche that there are non-consumption occurring, then you can satisfy that. All a person looking on will try to follow your strategy. Yeah, copy your
Yeah, that is
strategy and enter the space.
yeah.
So
To me, a
yeah.
blue ocean is just a first move.
Yeah, first move advantage.
Exactly.
Scalability is also important because if you're not scaling the business and growing the business, eventually it will plateau and then diminish. And all business go through the strategic inflection point where they approach maturity. And if they don't continue to innovate and find new blue oceans, then they will die. I mean, we don't have a lot of disruption in the marketplace. But if you look at exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange and those other established stock exchange, it's that they have and a matter of fact, the life cycle is actually um being condensed now. It was like 20 years now, it's going on. They've been disrupted by this new technology company. So every 4 or 5 years, you see a delisting happening. So just our market in Jamaica is not that dynamic. So we still have the old traditional companies that are well capitalized that dominate. But once our entrepreneurs locally start to leverage technology in a powerful way and understand the rudiments of scalability and true entrepreneurial innovation, then some of those incumbents will be disrupted.
Yeah, well, the New York Stock Exchange, well, that market is far more dynamic, as you alluded to in earlier on, and it has many more variables impacting businesses. So businesses are in that market are really forced to come up with new blue ocean in order to grow. We don't have that level of innovation in our products or services locally, and to be honest, it might not happen anytime soon.
Don't
Based
say that.
It's true. Based on our government structure and our policies, it might not happen. We will need a bit more flexibility locally in order for our business to be forced to be more innovative.
Well, we have to go discuss this one further because I don't know if the government hinder innovation. I think we limit ourselves about our innovation capacity. What the constraint for me is the availability of the capital that allows it to innovate and the patience to do so. That would be the point that I'd more support. And then the government can stop it from innovating. So we can, it's like we're open for discussion here, but I think a lot of it depends on us as new thought leaders in the space and new entrepreneurs to actually try and create businesses that disrupt existing companies. I gave two examples, Digicel and Lasco, but we can actually deepen the discussion and do some case studies to identify other areas of opportunities that can be disrupted through a different way of thinking. I said David has his mic open. I was saying something in the chat. So I'll invite David to join in the conversation as well.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I was actually, when I was supporting your thought on innovation, I found it interesting because as a business owner, we all have to include continuous innovation whether with our product or service vis-a-vis the marketplace. The red ocean has everybody doing the same thing. My industry is organic beauty soap. There's a ton of people out there selling this product. But to innovate, I have to study the market, study the people, listen to the customers, find out what they're looking for, and within that small space, innovate and transform. So I shift out of the red ocean to the blue ocean. By the time the competitors realize what I'm doing and start to catch up, by continuing the innovation process, I can then shift from where I move to another space and grow and stay ahead of the game and make a lot of money. But one of the key things while you're doing it is to recognize when you hit the ceiling and you cannot grow any further in that space, you're all tapped out, is to know, okay, what other business, product, or service can I transform into with my skills that I can continue making money. And as a serial entrepreneur, I'm not one yet, but that's what I hope to be. To create the foundation that no matter what happens in the economy, I find avenues and spaces that I can operate, have more than one business. So if one business falls or there's a challenge, I can still make a decent living and have something to leave for the next generation and then teach them to do the same thing. So I do love what you have shared. I agree with the gentleman in terms of what he spoke about, but there's always a process. Nobody can stop us from innovating, not our competitors. Once we're willing enough to do it and open our eyes to all possibilities, it comes to your thought process about leading self.
Yes.
Just keeping your mind open to learn, always observe what's going on. And you'll be able to find that little subtle difference that you can shift into before anybody realizes. And that's what I have to share. So, but well said, good presentation.
Hey, thanks, David. Thanks for that contribution. I'm glad that you're a businessman talking, sharing with us as well. Do you have a budget for research and development and innovation?
Well, not yet, because I spent 1 year, I'd call it in hibernation, before I actually started selling the product. Doing research, having the product made, testing it out, giving it away, getting the feedback, until I came up with a model that I was comfortable with. And then I hit the ground running to start promoting and so on. But most of the research is really sweat equity.
Well,
Talking to people.
that's your budget. That's
Yeah,
your
sweat equity.
R&D budget, yeah.
Yes, sweat equity, time, and the patience. You spoke about patience. It is really needed because some people want results quickly. And in reality, if you move too fast, you might move right past information that you really need to make that difference.
Yes.
So every action as entrepreneurs that we take, we have to be deliberate in whatever it is that we do. Everything has to be intentional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, good, good. I'm going to give all the participants an assignment, right? To go through the annual report, so all the companies listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and identify how much of them have a budget for R&D or anything to do with innovation.
Okay, that's an interesting assignment.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd learn from that.
And then you can go to Apple and Samsung and compare their budget for R&D. And you'll see a huge difference. I don't get the answer now, but if you want to join our next webinar, we have them like every 2 weeks, we can come and discuss it. And you see the big difference. Why they are now trillion-dollar companies and we're still struggling to, reach, any form of attractive return.
Okay, I think I'm not seeing any more questions or comments. So I guess we can move on to the next segment, just so that you have an idea. So thank you, Wayne, for continuing. Great presentation. I think both presentations were good tonight. So I want to just close off with just explaining to you what exactly is Founder Institute and how we can help you to build your business into something that's scalable, innovative, and help you to move at the speed that you need to move to when you need to move to it. Because in this industry, time is everything, and we have the processes to let you know when to move and when to stay where you are, right? So just briefly. So as you have probably heard, Jamaica, the Jamaican space is a great place for business. It's a good place for entrepreneurship because we have a lot of problems here and a lot of inefficiencies. And where there are a lot of problems and inefficiencies, there's no shortage of entrepreneurs who are ambitious enough to try to solve a lot of the problems that we have in Jamaica. Humanity will move forward and we can definitely make change. So our founder, Adeo Reese, he said that there's no shortage of problems facing humanity, and he's speaking globally. But there is a shortage of ambitious entrepreneurs trying to solve them. So innovation is something that we should consider. And for those persons who do it well, they obviously will be rewarded profitably because of these efforts. And Founder Institute has developed a process that knows how to do that. Now, what is our impact? We are the only global pre-seed accelerator that exists in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, and we're the only global pre-seed accelerator that I know that exists. Right? We have started over 4,500 companies. We're in over 90 countries in a short space that we've been in existence since 2009. And we've created not a number of jobs because of the companies that we have raised up, but also we have raised over $1.75 billion in funding for our startups that joined the program. Just let me know if you hear me cutting out again for some strange reason. I don't know what's up with my internet. But why Founder Institute and why we have spread so globally so quickly? We we understand that in we saw a lot of entrepreneur and in entrepreneurship where there's not anybody really teaching us how to be entrepreneurs. They're not really teaching us systems that help us to move from point A to point B. So a lot of entrepreneurs go into the space, they don't really know when to move, how to move, and what to do next. And they're sort of like left on their own and trying to figure out this problem of innovation on their own and how to develop the market. So what Founder Institute does is create that structure. It creates a supportive network within the ecosystem within Jamaica and globally to help you to know and understand how to build your business by using proven strategies that help you to move quickly and to help you to fail fast and fail cheap is what we call it. But we essentially throw you off into the swimming pool, into the deep end, using action-oriented, highly structured sprints that are designed to grow your business and basically engineer the path to your success. So what we believe in validating your business ideas very quickly. And as you've heard in Mrs. Huss's presentation about the top reasons why businesses fail is because they had the wrong product. This is a point where you have to validate your product a lot before it goes to market, and even while you're in the market, to validate it, to tweak it, to refine it. And that's where we come in with the structure and the constant feedback that help you throughout this process of innovation. So you can do it quickly. So instead of taking 5 years to build your business, you can build it in 3 months and figure out in 3 months whether or not you have a good idea or a bad idea, need to go back to the drawing board, or you need to tweak something and pivot. You move and just keep moving forward. And we're there to support. So wherever you are, whether you are a full-time business, you're a full-time employee, and you're thinking of starting a business, you have an idea and you're wondering if it will work, or you have a small team and you're working part-time and you're testing a prototype or a minimum viable product, or what we call an MVP, or you're a company, a small business company that wants to grow and you want to find investment opportunities, you want to find ways that you can scale and get more customers, then we have a track for you. So if you have an idea or you're testing an idea, you're in the launch track, and we have a process of validation, programs about team building, finding co-founders and go-to-market strategies. We have a growth track also for that company that want to grow and accelerate and get access to funding and investment. So we prepare you to go in front of investors, get everything done for your due diligence that the investors will be looking for in your business processes, set up those systems that will maximize and maintain and sustain growth. So we have different phases in our program. We start out with a core program, which is where we are now, where you learn the basics of ideation and growth and having those systems and going through that validation process or customer building process. Then you would graduate from this program, which is about 3 months, into the Founder Lab, where you would be growing your business further with mentorship and direct contact with access to global mentors within the FI network. And then from that, when you're ready to go through to look for investments, then we'll help you throughout the process of getting that due diligence, that growth that you need to find those customers, to test those MVPs and to get that traction going that would be attractive to investors in the Accelerator Lab. And when you're ready, you go through those processes over and over and over until you're ready, then we send you into the Venture Capital Lab, where you'll get access to global investors who may want to invest in your business during different seed stages, and you go through that cycle till whenever. So what we offer is lifetime support throughout every stage of your business. We don't invest in business ideas because ideas can change, it can pivot. What we invest in are founders, and we take you through the process right up until the end. So some of the local partners, that we have are some of these persons who they either specialize in legal services or marketing or business development, or photography or event management services or logistics or even financing to help you to build your startup, you have access to these persons after you've graduated from the program, where you can get access to maybe perhaps discounts, or we can, you know, introduce you to these persons and say you have access to their services and help you to build your business. Well, you know, like, and on top of that, you have global access that Founder Institute themselves give to you, such as Google, AWS systems, HubSpot, which is a marketing, comprehensive marketing system, and other things that you can use also to build your business at extremely reduced prices. So all of these partners, they work with us so that we can help you to build your business when you need to use them. Right. So all that said, and what you heard this evening, even though entrepreneurship is hard, we here at FI, we say that FI is hard because building a business is harder. So our program is very intense, and it is designed to be intense so that you can, as we say, fail fast and fail cheaply. So we expect that you'll have about 20 hours per week to dedicate to the sprints and developing your business. You must meet the deliverables and keep up to pace with the program in order to be reviewed by mentors and leaders and so forth. So in essence, because we're so intense and we try to accomplish so much in a short space of time, you're expecting a lot of participant dropouts, which are normal. So yeah, we have a very, very high dropout rate. And so it's not for the weak, it's for the strong, and it's for the persons who are highly motivated into the lifestyle of entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurship lifestyle, as you may already know, is not easy. There are lots of sacrifices that you have to make. It's hard, it's grueling, it's probably the hardest thing that you'll ever do. And so we are expecting that, we're not expecting persons to come into the program that aspire to be entrepreneurs and they are not ready to, roll up their sleeves. We want serious entrepreneurs to apply because we want to build businesses that can sustain, and only entrepreneurs that work hard and are willing to learn quickly and learn a lot in a very short space of time will be able to reach that goal, that innovation that we need, and that scaling that you need to build your business too. So I want serious applicants. So even though it's a program that can help everyone, the persons who will benefit are the ones that really, really, really work hard towards it. So yeah, we have a great program. It's a proven strategy. It's highly structured. You get constant feedback. You get an entire ecosystem of mentors and coaches and technical services to support you. And it's only at a cost of $299 if you register by January 21. All right, and the program is going to start in March, but this $299 that you're going to pay is a one-time fee for a lifetime of service. So we are different from other accelerators in the sense that we are not going to upsell you to another accelerator program later on when you're finished. What we're going to do is what we do is an equity share, where we take, as you heard Wayne said earlier, that if you're serious, you're going to have to give up some equity. We're only asking for 2% of your equity, and we're only taking that only if you have exponentially grown your business. So it's no risk to you, and it's a complete benefit to you if you do succeed in the program. And the reason why we're taking that is because you don't pay any money to us after this program. We, the leaders, are here voluntarily. We volunteer to help you. All our mentors do this voluntarily. We're not being paid. Nobody's being paid. The $299 is really just get the stuff, the material, the systems that you need to go through the program. But throughout the mentorship and all the accelerators that happen afterwards, we expect no more payment for you. It's a lifetime commitment that we have for you, and as long as you graduate from the program, you're alumni for life. And yeah, if you did have an idea and it didn't work out, you validated it and you had to drop out because you fell behind or it wasn't a good idea and you had to go over and start from scratch and the graduating class just went and left you behind, that's fine. You can join the program after that for the next year for free. There's nothing else you pay because, as we said, we're giving you lifetime support for you as your entrepreneur, for you and your team. So we're not expecting any more money from that. So that said, if you have any questions about our methodology, if you have any questions about how you can participate either as a partner or you want to join the core program and learn how to build a sustainable and innovative business in a very short space of time, then you can visit us at fi.co, or you can email us at fi.jamaica@fimail.co. And on the website, a number of us, you can also directly contact us. Our information is there. We're all on LinkedIn. So please connect with all of us. We're open to any messages to get from you. We're open to answering any questions that you have, feedback and support to getting more information about what we do and how we do it. And if you want to know more about our webinars and what else we are doing in the Jamaican ecosystem, you can also, connect with us on our pages and you'll get updated with those information. So thank you for your attention and good evening. If you have any questions about anything I've just said, we can continue with some question and answer. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great discussion. I'm looking at the comments, it's great. Okay, so our next webinar is going to be on January 30. It hasn't started, been advertised yet, but you can see that soon. So if you have joined for this webinar, wherever you saw the ad for this one, you can join through that next time. So we'll be putting that out in about this week or next week. You should be seeing that event coming up. But there's another webinar about how to finance your SME. Where you are now, funding opportunities in Jamaica. So do look out for that one as well. Okay, at this time, any of our leaders want to say any final words before we close for tonight?
Not really, but I mean, I really enjoyed Wayne's presentation, and so I hope that everyone else did as well. And we hope that you understood how the tracks work. We have the track work, we have the growth one, and we also have the, what's the other one again, Tanelia? Growth and
Funding lab.
Oh, we have funding and we have pitch.
right.
So we have two funding webinars coming up, and we have how to pitch to investors and co-founders as well. And we have our in-person networking session where we get in together with local entrepreneurs so that you can network and shake hands and maybe find co-founders or even investors. So you look out for all of our events. Yeah, exciting stuff are happening.
Right, so we hope to see all of you, and I hope that you also invite your friends, all the other entrepreneurs that you know, to reach out and even come to one of our events. All right, so thanks for joining us, and good night.
Okay, so before we end, so I've just sent a LinkedIn to my profile. You can connect with me and you get access to all the information about upcoming webinars and any events that we may have. As I said, reach out to me if you have any questions in regard to the ecosystem and how you can participate with the Founder Institute. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Good evening, guys. It's great being here with you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.